At my sister Clara's wedding, she ensured everyone knew I was the unfortunate singleton. She placed me at the misfit table, introduced me as still searching for a partner, and even had her bridesmaids murmur about my lonely romantic life. But when a charming stranger whispered, "Pretend we're together," what unfolded next turned her flawless day into my ultimate triumph. If you've ever been shamed by family for being single, give this a thumbs up. Follow if you believe fate delivers justice in surprising ways. This tale proves that sometimes, the sweetest revenge comes with a dose of envy. The banquet hall glowed with silver chandeliers and soft candlelight. But all I could think about was the table number in my hand, table 15. The singles corner. The outcast table. The spot Clara had carefully chosen to highlight that her elder sister was unattached. I'm Emily. Let me explain how I became the family letdown at my sister's dream wedding. Clara and I were never close. Our rivalry had grown venomous over the past year. Since her engagement to James, a prosperous lawyer from a prominent family, she'd made it her mission to remind me I was 34 and still solo. Maybe try online dating again, she'd say with mock sympathy at family gatherings. You can't be choosy forever, Emily. Time's ticking. Our mother, Susan, would offer a pitying nod, while our father, Robert, would clumsily shift the conversation. Clara never let up. She seemed to relish my romantic struggles, as if my singlehood somehow elevated her joy. On her wedding morning, she called with what she framed as sisterly concern. Emily, I know today might be tough, she said, her tone oozing condescension. With everyone so in love, just try not to look too glum in the pictures, okay? And don't monopolize the bartender like you did at Cousin Lisa's wedding. That was my first hint of what was coming. When I arrived at the Crestwood estate, wearing a stunning emerald dress I'd agonized over for weeks, Clara's maid of honor, Rachel, greeted me with a clipboard and a smile that screamed bad news. Emily, let me guide you to your seat, she said, her voice laced with Clara's signature artificial sweetness. Table 15 was shoved in a dim corner near the kitchen, where servers rushed in and out with clattering trays. My tablemates were Clara's unattached colleagues, who barely glanced at me, and our elderly great-aunt Mildred, who grumbled about the loud music and suggested I'd settle for someone less picky. The real sting came during the family introductions. As the reception buzzed, Clara decided to showcase me as a warning tale. She grabbed my arm and dragged me toward James's relatives, elegant people dripping with wealth. This is my sister Emily, Clara declared, her arm around James like she was staking a claim. She's our career-driven singleton, still prioritizing work over romance. The group offered polite smiles as I felt my face flush. Mrs. Harrington, James's aunt, eyed me with obvious pity. Oh, dear, she said, patting my hand. Don't worry, there's someone for everyone. Have you tried book clubs? My nephew Thomas met his fiancée at one. Clara chuckled, a cruel sound that thrived on my discomfort. Emily's so independent, she said, making the word sound like a flaw. Aren't you, sis? I mumbled, I just haven't met the right person, trying to keep my voice steady. You can't wait forever, James's mother, Eleanor, added. My cousin waited too long and now she's 47 with no prospects. Don't repeat her mistake. For the next hour, I faced a barrage of Clara's friends and James's family offering unsolicited advice. Each conversation felt scripted, as if Clara had coached them to belittle me. Michael, James's colleague, suggested I aim lower. David, a family friend, shared the tale of his spinster aunt who found love at 52 with a widower. Even the photographer seemed complicit, asking repeatedly if I had a date and looking baffled when I said no. The breaking point was the bouquet toss. All single ladies to the floor, the DJ boomed, his enthusiasm feeling like a jab. I tried to hide behind a column, but Rachel spotted me. Come on, Emily, this could be your moment, she said, dragging me to join a group of James's giggling young cousins, all in their early 20s. Surrounded by them, I felt old and exposed. Clara locked eyes with me, smirked, and tossed the bouquet far in the opposite direction. A 22-year-old named Sophie caught it as the crowd roared. Clara hugged her and announced loudly, "Looks like Emily's still waiting." The laughter that followed cut like a blade. I saw guests glancing at me with pity and relief, grateful it wasn't them. I retreated to my table, swallowing tears of anger and shame. This was meant to be a celebration, but Clara had turned it into a public roast of my confidence. I was ready to flee, to slip away before Clara could see me break. As I grabbed my purse, a smooth voice whispered behind me, "Pretend you're with me." I turned to see a man in a sharp navy suit, tall, about 6'3", with chestnut hair and a commanding presence. His eyes were warm yet resolute, exuding quiet charisma. "What?" I whispered, startled. "Your sister just spent 15 minutes telling my colleague how concerned she is about your single status," he said, settling into the chair beside me. "I'm guessing you didn't ask her to advertise your personal life." He was right. Across the room, Clara was gesturing toward me while chatting with James's associates, likely painting me as the lonely sister. "Do you mind?" he asked, though his tone suggested he was already set on his plan. I shook my head, too stunned to speak. For the first time that night, I felt seen. "I'm Daniel," he said, offering his hand with a genuine smile. "James's cousin from Chicago. And you're Emily, the sister supposedly doomed to eternal solitude." I laughed despite myself. "That's me. The family failure." "Not tonight," he said, his grin both comforting and sly. Daniel leaned back, resting his arm on my chair, and spoke to me like we were old friends. Heads turned our way almost instantly. Clara, mid-conversation with the planner, froze when she saw us. Her smile wavered before she excused herself and glided toward us, her gown trailing like a battle flag. "Emily," she called, her voice unnaturally high. "I didn't know you knew Daniel." "Old acquaintances," Daniel said smoothly, his hand brushing mine on the table. "We drifted apart, but you know how life works." Clara's eyes narrowed, her perfect bride facade slipping. "Really? Emily never mentioned you." "I keep my personal life private," I said, finding my voice. "You know how I value balance." The irony wasn't lost on me. Clara had spent the night airing my single status, and now she was fishing for details about a non-existent romance. "How lovely," Clara said, her tone icy. "How long have you been reconnecting?" "Long enough," Daniel replied, his smile enigmatic. As Clara walked away, visibly irked, Daniel leaned in. "She looks like she swallowed a wasp," he whispered. I smiled. "She's not used to me stealing her spotlight." "Good," he said. "Let's keep her off balance." For the next hour, Daniel played his role flawlessly. He fetched drinks, laughed at my stories, and touched my hand just enough to sell our act. But more than that, he listened. He asked about my graphic design career, my passion for kayaking, and my trip to Scotland. "You're not what I expected," he said during a lull in the music. "What did you expect?" I asked. "Based on Clara's narrative?" "Someone sad and desperate. Instead, you're sharp, witty, and honestly, I don't get why you're single." "I have standards," I said, surprising myself. He laughed, a warm sound that eased the knot in my chest. "Good for you." Clara was now openly staring, whispering to Rachel, who kept sneaking glances at us. James's relatives, who had pitted me earlier, now eyed Daniel with curiosity, clearly aware of his status and wondering how I'd snagged someone so polished. The revenge was sweeter than I'd imagined. But Daniel wasn't finished. When the band played a slow song, he stood and offered his hand. "Dance with me," he said, his tone leaving no room for refusal. On the dance floor, his hand on my waist, I felt the stares of every guest who'd offered me advice. But instead of exposed, I felt shielded. Daniel moved with effortless grace, like someone trained in ballroom, and being close to him felt oddly natural. "Your sister's watching," he murmured. I know, I said. She looks ready to combust. Mission accomplished, he replied. I looked up at him, this stranger who'd restored my dignity with one act. Almost. Then Clara made her move. Mind if I cut in, she asked, appearing with James, her smile tight. Actually, yes, Daniel said politely but firmly. We're in the middle of something. Clara's face flickered through emotions before settling on forced cheer. I just wanted to say how thrilled I am that Emily's found someone. We were all so concerned. Were you? Daniel asked, his tone calm but piercing. Because it seems you've been more focused on parading her single status than supporting her. Clara froze. James shifted awkwardly, sensing the tension. We just want what's best for Emily, Clara stammered. Then maybe show her the respect she deserves instead of turning her life into gossip for your guests, Daniel said evenly. I'd never seen Clara so shaken. Her perfect bride aura crumbled. For the first time, she was the one who looked diminished. I don't know what Emily told you, she didn't need to, Daniel cut in. I can see how you've treated her all night. James stepped in. Let's let them dance. As they retreated, Clara's composure was in tatters, whispering furiously to Rachel. That felt incredible, I admitted as we danced. We're not done, Daniel said, his smile sparking something in me. For the rest of the night, he stayed by my side. When dinner was served, he requested a table change, citing special requests. The staff, aware of James's family, moved us to a prime spot where everyone could see us laughing like a couple. Clara's friends, who'd ignored me, now wanted to meet Daniel. James's relatives, who'd pitted me, now treated me with respect, curious about my boyfriend. Mrs. Harrington, who'd suggested book clubs, now gushed about Daniel's tech company and Ivy League degree. The final blow came during the garter toss. As James prepared to throw it, Daniel stepped forward confidently. Wait, Clara called, desperate. Daniel, you're not single. He glanced at me, then at her. Actually, I am. Emily and I are taking it slow, reconnecting. The garter landed in his hands, whether by chance or James's aim, I'll never know. Tradition dictated he place it on the bouquet catcher's leg, but Sophie had left. We need a volunteer, the DJ called. Daniel looked at me. I nodded. The crowd cheered as I sat, and he slid the garter onto my leg with care that felt surprisingly real. Clara's face was a storm of jealousy as her pathetic sister stole the spotlight. As the night ended, Daniel walked me to my car. In the quiet parking lot, I said, thank you. I know it was an act, but you saved me from the worst night of my life. What makes you think it was an act? He asked, his eyes serious. My breath caught. Because you don't know me. I know enough, he said, stepping closer. You're resilient, kind, and stunning. Your sister's a fool for not seeing how lucky she is to have you. Tears welled, but not from shame. Daniel, this started as a favor, he said, but somewhere between our dance and now, it became real for me. He handed me a card with his number. If you want to see me again, not for revenge, just because, call me. My hands shook. What if I call tonight? He smiled. I'll answer. 3 months later, we were dating. 6 months after, we moved in together. A year after Clara's wedding, he proposed at the same venue. Clara's reaction to our engagement was priceless. She, who'd mocked my singlehood, now watched me plan a wedding with a man who adored me, from a family even wealthier than James's. But the true victory wasn't outshining Clara, it was realizing I didn't need her approval. Daniel's respect showed me my worth, and I'd never settle for less again. Our wedding was intimate, filled with genuine joy. Clara, insisting on being maid of honor, gave a speech about how she always knew I'd find love. The revisionism was stunning, but I didn't care. I had Daniel, who saw me from the start. Clara's wedding was my lowest moment, revealing how I'd let others diminish me. But it led me to Daniel. Without her cruelty, I wouldn't have met him. Her attempt to make me feel unlovable delivered me to my soulmate. If this story shows that living well is the best revenge, like and follow for more tales of fate and love. Has someone's cruelty ever backfired in your life? Share below. Sometimes, the universe delivers justice with a twist, and sometimes, that twist leads to forever.